Sometimes you just need the power of Mars behind you, no matter how vengeful or angry it is. Like, anger is a very valid emotion. And if the universe just throws people in my way, people that deserve that wrath, who am I to say no to the universe? Like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, that would be disrespectful, you know? That would be disrespectful. What's good, you guys? Welcome back to YAP Therapy. I don't know if you're watching this on Friday, Saturday, or any day that you watch after I post, but I don't know if I'm posting Friday or Saturday, so either way, hello. It's like that weird time in between like Christmas and New Year's where like you don't know who you are, you don't know where you are, you don't know the meaning of life, you don't really know where you are, you know? You're just like kind of in purgatory. That's how I think of that week between Christmas and New Year's, because like Christmas is done, but the holidays aren't done yet, and that middle week between the two is just so strange. Like, to me, that middle week gives like Pisces energy vibes, you know? It's like every boundary is kind of blurred and like anything kind of goes, you know? Like no one can really tell you what to do, I feel like, in the week between Christmas and New Year's, you know? Because there are like no rules here. That gives me Pisces energy. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, because of that being one of the reasons why I'm posting this podcast on a different day than usual. And it's not the only time it's happened. I try to post the podcast on Thursdays, obviously, because I feel like people like schedules. But my thing is, hear me out, I'd rather post a day late, 2 days late, than not post at all. So if like I can't get it up on Thursday for whatever reason, I feel happy being able to post it another day of the week rather than just like forgetting about it. I don't know how you guys feel, but that's how I feel. And obviously I'm a Capricorn rising, so I do love a schedule and like sticking to it. But as I've also learned more about human design and me being a generator and just like being more in tune with the water energy in my chart, when you want to do something, when the energy's there, that is when you produce the best work, I feel like. And if you know anything about human design, that's what generators are all about. And I'm a generator. So you just don't do shit until it feels right. Like, we are the life force of society, generators. So we have a lot of energy and we have a lot of creativity, and we walk into a room and we feed people, you know, our energy. So our energy is sacred. So our energy needs to be good. Our energy needs to be right. We need to feel good before we do something, because otherwise it's just going to drain us. And usually when we're doing things as generators, doing things that we want to do, even though we're putting in work, even though you should be more tired because you're putting in more work, actually we feel energized because the energy that we're giving also feeds us. But that only happens when we want to do something, when the energy's right and it's time for us to do it, rather than doing things because we feel like we have to do it. So you see what I mean? Like, that very much, I feel like, opposes my Capricorn rising or the Capricorn energy in my chart, because as you Capricorn placements know, we just want to put in the work and we want to be consistent and we like to have a schedule. Like, you know, I always talk about how I love my planner, and that goes against like do things when it feels right. So I like to incorporate both, which is why, like I said, the podcast or videos, I have certain days for it. But my thing is, if like the energy's not there or if something happens and I'm not in a good mood, I promise you guys, you'll be able to tell. You'll be able to tell that, you know, my energy's off, because I can tell when I'm watching other people's, you know what I mean? Or even if you're around a friend, you can tell when they're not themselves, right? So why would I create something that I love doing when my energy's not right? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me. So when, you know, I'm going through something like that during a week or whatever, I'd rather just post it or, you know, film it another day, film it later, post it later, because then the energy is right for me, for you, for everybody, you know? And also I feel like digital energy, you know, is a real thing. There's a lot of energy exchanges happening when we're on our phone, when we're watching TV. Like, it's the truth. Energy is in everything, like literally everything. And more so now that I feel like Pluto is in Aquarius, you know, the power of technology obviously is going to be significantly changing. And I recently learned about artificial super intelligence, which is a step above, obviously, just artificial intelligence. So yeah, robots are just getting smarter and smarter at, you know, exponential rates, and just tying that into, our use of social media and our phones, and just how much technology has taken a place in our everyday lives, like more than ever before. Because before, smartphones, obviously, yes, computers were taking over, but now with smartphones, like everything is right in the palm of our hands. Our smartphones can do so much, and they're so smart. So there's a lot of, energy exchanges happening more than before, even just thinking about how so many people, they're watching TV, but then they're on their phone, because you need both of those dopamine hits, and you need, your mind to be occupied at all times. We just have such short attention spans, and we always want to be stimulated. And all of that is energy exchange, and don't get me wrong, I'm the first person to talk about how I love the funny shit on social media. I love TikTok. I love the community of like people just like making each other laugh or teaching each other something. Like all that is amazing. Communicating with people, with your family, across the world, with your friends, all that is amazing. But the other end of it is, let's be honest, not everything you intake from your phone, from your computer, from TV is good. It's not always positive. So there's a lot of energy exchanges happening. And I think a lot of people think that, energy exchange only happens in person. And that is just so not the case. You're, partaking in an energy exchange when you're online as well, or when you're reading things, because someone wrote this, someone made this video. You are connecting with the energy that was there when they were creating this, So that's why it's also so important to only follow people and pages that make you feel good, that you want to be exchanging energy from. Granted, like when you go to an explore page or a For You page, you're kind of in the streets. Like you are in the streets. You don't know who is going to connect with you and have an energy exchange with you. You don't, because, it's not someone that you handpicked to be able to do that with you. Like a follower, you know what I mean? Or someone that you're actually, choosing to follow, So when you're going on an explore page or a For You page, yeah, you are in the streets of the internet. So anyone can really connect with you. People that might blow your mind and you're like, oh my God, this was an amazing video. Or people that are like, you're like, I can't believe people like that exist. Like, ew, you know what I mean? Like, brother, like, why did I have to see this? So yeah, we go through a lot of energy exchanges daily. And I just think before you go to sleep or when you wake up, I don't know, a lot of people go on their phone right away when they wake up and then they go start their day. Or you could just be working with a certain, type of energy when you wake up. And as soon as you wake up, you go on your phone, because a lot of people do that. Let's be honest. I do it too. I try not to, but I still do it sometimes. And a lot of times, actually, let's be real. And when that happens, the energy that you took on from your phone, now you're taking that energy with you through your day. So you could have had a good day if you just woke up. Because, I think when we're resting, I don't know about you guys, we're just getting into everything. Whew. I don't know about you guys. I feel like when we're sleeping, when we're resting, we're kind of like resetting our brain. Like when they say time heals, like I think a lot of that has to do with sleep. I think our body really, goes through these things in our sleep state. We don't know everything. The scientists don't know everything about sleep, but when you're sick, whatever, if you don't get enough sleep, you're not showing up your best. So I think when we're sleeping, it's actually a very healing experience, which makes sense because when I think of sleep, I think of Pisces energy, the 12th house. So your subconscious is kind of like renewing itself, recycling, getting rid of shit that you don't want. So even if you were, online seeing bullshit online, but then you go to sleep, I think you're kind of resetting your energy for the next day to wake up in a clear state, But if you wake up and then you go on your phone, it kind of feels like, now all the energy that your body went through to get you going for this new day, it can potentially be ruined by whatever it is that you intake in the morning when you go on your phone right away. You know what I mean? Like you could have had a great day if you just woke up and you went and did your thing. But now because you took in some energy from your phone that maybe isn't going to help you act in your highest vibration, now it can potentially just fuck with the rest of your day. And I believe in that shit. I do think it's very hard to obviously set better boundaries with our phones. And it probably will be even harder with Pluto moving into Aquarius. But I think it's necessary. Always take breaks, you guys. Always, as much as, it's annoying and you just want to get on your phone, like you don't have to be one of those people that's like, I'm taking a social media break for 3 months. Like just, if you feel like overwhelmed, like a general sense. I'm not a psychiatrist, but if you feel like a general sense of like anxiety of like, oh my God, there's just so much going on, I promise you, if you just like put your phone on airplane mode or just, just take a breather from everyone having access to you or you having access to everyone via the internet and social media, I promise you, you'll feel a little better. Even if it's just 2 hours, even if it's just 2 hours. Wow. I just feel like we went through so many little mini topics in that conversation, but to bring it back to human design, I know some of you have said it before that you'd like for me to talk about human design. So yeah, I just wanted to confirm. And if you haven't heard me talk about it before and you're interested, or if you're just interested to learn more about human design, can you comment for me? So if you're listening on Spotify and Apple, go comment on the YouTube, or if you're watching on YouTube, comment if you're interested, because I want to know if it's a segment that I should do. And, I will be honest, I am not as well versed in human design. I know like the general things, but this would be a segment where I kind of learn alongside you. Like I can do my research and share with you my findings, and like we can have conversations about human design and what it all means, and we'll just learn together, and we'll Google stuff, and you guys can ask questions, and I'll bring it into the next episode. I think it's really, really fun. If you've never heard of human design, it's kind of another personality test. It's really cool. And it's kind of like astrology, not like astrology, but in the sense that it's, it's a new system that can potentially tell you more about who you are, how you show up in life, what you need, things of that nature. So if you're interested in human design, I mean, low-key, I feel like I'm just going to do it anyway, but I would still love to know if you guys would love that, because I think it would be really, really fun. I love learning about myself. I know you guys must love learning about yourselves. It would be crazy if you didn't love learning about yourself and you were here, because all I do is just like talk about, people and their signs and why they are the way they are. So yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So I feel like we've talked about one of these before, but I don't know if we talked about the Scorpio one. I'm going to post it here. It's like that meme that's like top 10 jobs Scorpio wants, and it had one for every sign. But the Scorpio one popped up on my Instagram page, and I was just looking at this shit and I was just like, just dying of laughter. Like, why is that so funny? So if you're an audio listener, essentially it's a meme about the top 10 jobs a Scorpio wants, and they're not like real jobs, but they're like funny because it all makes sense. And they have one for like every sign, so maybe I should do all of them at some point. You guys, the first job a Scorpio wants, 34.2%. Because this is accurate. Like, I think they actually asked the same people that they ask on Family Feud. Yeah. That is how official this polling system is. Okay, so the first job that's on there is evildoer. Evildoer, 34.2. Honestly, it's giving Salem witch trials. Like, what's wrong with, being a little witch and making shit happen? But the funny thing is, it doesn't say witch, it says evildoer. And I am here to make our case. Listen, I think, are there crazy people? Yes, in every sign. But I think Scorpios, we have this like reputation of like, oh, like they're just so evil, like they're so mean, or you know what I mean? Like they're controlling and they love revenge and vengeance. Yeah, all of those can be true. But when it says evildoer, I have to be honest, for us Scorpios, I think personally, when we're doing evil, when we're like, you know what I mean? Like scheming, plotting, it's well-deserved, Like, we don't just, like, wake up and we're like, I feel like being an absolute raging bitch today. I do sometimes, but that has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a Scorpio. It's just, like, the general distaste for life and people's stupidity. I always say one of my favorite jobs, ask any of my friends, it's come up in multiple conversations, like one of those fake jobs, would be if I can just, like, go around and, like, expose people who have done bad shit. Like, it would just be so fun to just, like, pop up in people's houses. Like, it could be, like, literally Becky on the street or like a politician. I don't care, anybody. And I just somehow, because as Scorpios, we're good at knowing all the secrets, just know these people's secrets, and I could just go up to them and be like, so how do you feel about the fact that you did this shit? And I just have like the proof. Like, that would be like my dream job. Like, just to see the look on people's faces when they've been caught lying. Like, that just sounds so right. So if you want to call that evildoer, you know what I mean? My thing is like, if it's someone that deserves it, it's someone that deserves it. And I always say I'm comfortable you know, bringing my wrath, unleashing my wrath on people that deserve it. Like, why else am I going to simmer with this wrath? Like, if you're Mars ruled, we have this energy, we have this warrior type spirit because we love fighting for ourselves, for people, for society. You know what I mean? Like, and at the end of the day, sometimes you just need the power of Mars behind you, no matter how vengeful or angry it is. Like, anger is a very valid emotion, and if the universe just throws people in my way, people that deserve that wrath, who am I to say no to the universe? Like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, that would be disrespectful, you know? That would be disrespectful. Oh my god, the second one is so good too. Okay, the second top job that Scorpio wants, king's right hand man. I love that. I love that. How much do we talk about, like, you know, the different types of like leaders, and Scorpio likes to be that hidden leader. You know, we don't want to have like the crown on top of our head and everyone's just like praising us. Like granted, I love knowing that I'm powerful and people knowing I'm powerful. Like, Scorpio wants to be like, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna show them. Like, and as long as we just get to see the reaction, it doesn't need to be actually directed towards us, but just seeing what our power and influence did, like, that feels good, right? So I think it's funny that king's right-hand man is there, because if you think about a king's right-hand man, that right-hand man, he gotta do everything. Like, you know what I mean? And even when the king has an idea, who does he run it by? The right-hand man, you know? Like, the king and the right-hand man are like this. And I don't know, if you have a Scorpio in your life, you know, you love running shit by them. Not like as like permission, but like you just know they're going to give it to you straight. Like, when a Scorpio gives you advice, when a Scorpio, you know, when you go to a Scorpio for advice, we're really, really looking at you, seeing the way you describe shit, asking the right questions, because we truly want to give you our best response. We're not just like, you know, downplaying it. We're looking at this as like a serious situation where I need to help you. So give me all the information and I'm going to keep it with you straight. You know what I mean? That's how a Scorpio does things. And a Scorpio is just not like scared of how it will be received. My thing is, if you're asking me my opinion, I'm going to tell you my opinion. I'm not going to like sugarcoat it for you to make you feel comfortable, because that's not doing you any favors. You know, you ask me because you know I'm going to tell you the truth. And when you're the king's right-hand man, you know, you have to be kind of bold with the king, bolder than everyone else, because everyone else fears the king, right? But your right-hand man, a good king would want their right-hand man to tell it to them straight. Don't be scared of them, because you need to protect the king. That's what the right-hand man does. It's looking at the king's best interest. And Scorpios, we're looking at your best interest. That's why we're not lying to you. That's why we're not going to sugarcoat it for you. So I just got a notification, I just got a notification from my full moon app that I follow. Basically just gives you like notifications when it tells you like a moon sign moved to another moon sign. So it'll tell you the moon is in Pisces right now. And then when it moves to, let's say, Aries, you'll get a ping and it says that the moon has moved into Aries. So it's a really cool app. Anyway, I just got the notification that the moon moved into Sagittarius. And it's so funny because... I wonder how often there is like a solid shift from one moon sign to the other. Like, let's say, like, you know, people are like chilling, the moon's in Scorpio, everyone's feeling a little depresso and like a little angry and just like in their feels. And then like suddenly like the moon moves into Sagittarius. People aren't thinking about the fact that it moved to Sagittarius, but suddenly like the air feels lighter and like things are funnier again. You know what I mean? Like, that shit is so funny to me. And I wish there was a TV show or a movie about that. About like, and obviously it's not realistic for every single time for one moon sign moves to the next for there to be a drastic shift. But it would just be fun to see the shift from one moon sign to the other, and like a show or a movie like showing the energies that change when the moon is changing signs, and how people just go from one feeling to another or one outlook to another, you know? It's just so fun to think about that stuff. And I just wish there were more like zodiac and astrology related shows and movies, because the possibilities are endless. They are so endless. I feel like there have been so many ideas we have shared on this channel, you know, about all the shows and movies that we think would be fun and that would relate to astrology, but they just ain't doing it right. And the third job that Scorpio wants, villain apologist. Literally, like, just play a snippet of the last episode when we had that list of main characters, side characters, villains, and it was Scorpio in there. Scorpio, Capricorn, and Gemini. That's so funny. And I literally just talked about that. How, like, I love rooting for the villain. Like, sometimes you really look at what people have to say about your astrology sign, about your zodiac sign, and you're just like, yeah, that's me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know there's plenty of people that are like, that doesn't hit for me. Like, that's not true. That's not me. Like, you know it's true most of the time. You know it's true. So the fact that villain apologist is there and I as a Scorpio am constantly trying to make sense of the behavior of the villain, like, I just feel like the villain doesn't get enough credit. I really don't. The villain obviously has reasoning for why they are the way they are. And I just feel like it's lazy to just assume villain equals bad, good guy equals good. Like, it's just lazy to assume that because we don't really know the lore. We don't really know their intentions. And I feel like with a villain, when you actually start looking closely at their intentions, that's when you realize the villain was never a villain, you know? The villain was a good person that had a rough childhood, a rough life. And now they're sick and tired of people's shit, you know? And now they're a villain. Like, you know what is the best example of that? Oh my God, Khaleesi. Like, are you kidding me? If you watch Game of Thrones, you know who I'm talking about, the mother of dragons. That shit, it's still something that fucking bothers me till this day. Is the way, if you haven't watched Game of Thrones and you're like, spoiler, like, you're like 10 years too late. So like, I'm still giving you that grace of like, I'm about to talk about the ending of the whole entire series, but also, yeah. So at the series finale, they fucking killed my girl Khaleesi. She was the mother of dragons, and the thing is, it's crazy. The way they killed her is so fucked up. And if you're not going to watch Game of Thrones, I'll give you a brief summary of her lore. Like, this is a powerful woman, but her beginning was not powerful. Like, she's just gone through so much in her life where one of those things happening to a person could lead them down a dark path of becoming a villain or angry, but multiple things happened to her. For example, damn near her brother for the first season or two was like pimping her out. Damn near. Like, she had no control over her own life. She watched her best friend get murdered in front of her. One of her dragons, you know, she's the mother of dragons. One of her dragons was brutally murdered and killed. It's just insane. And so much more shit, right? But then in the last season of the show, when she finally processed everything that happened to her, she went on this, you know, rage fest, and she used her dragons to like burn down the Capitol. But like, you guys, shit was building up for her the whole series. Like, people just tried her, and she tried to, you know, be the best version of herself and save the people. She freed all these slaves. Like, she did great things. But during the last season, she was just tired. She was just tired of this shit and of people that she loved dying. So that was like her villain arc, right? Like, she burned down the whole entire city. And then they murdered her because they were like, oh, like, she's too scary. She can't be controlled. Meanwhile, people in this show are doing crazy shit. But when she finally reacted, everyone was like, oh my God, female rage, so scary, so fucking annoying. She deserves better. So then us collectively, all the people that watched, most people that watched Game of Thrones, we were so disappointed. Because even if you didn't watch Game of Thrones, you know how crazy. This was like a worldwide phenomenon. You know what I mean? Like, we were all waiting to watch that shit on Sundays when it dropped on HBO, right? And it was just, it still is one of the best shows ever in the history of time. The videography, all of it. It's that good budget shit. Like, the acting is phenomenal. So phenomenal. So when they killed her off like that, she was like a beloved character. It just didn't feel right. It felt so weird and icky. And then I don't know how true this is, but I believe it's true. It was just bad because they were saying that the writers at that time, they just got a new deal to help write the Star Wars show. So people were saying that towards the end of Game of Thrones, they got lazy and they were ready to just wrap it up to take on this new deal with Star Wars. And it showed that they, you know, wiped their hands clean and were like, you know what? We did our thing. Bye. And we were all just pissed. So I fucking hated that. I hated that so much. So yeah, it reminded me of Villain Apologist. on this list because truly, like, she is one of my favorite characters ever. Also, Emilia Clarke, the actress who plays Khaleesi, she has the same birthday as me. She's one of my birthday twins, so I already love her. I didn't even need to know that, but once I found that out, I was like, oh yeah, like, that's my bitch. That's my girl. That's the mother of dragons. I get you. So she is one of the villains. She's not even a villain, but people will say she's a villain, that I will apologize for until the end of time. And that list is long, actually. Maybe I should come up with actually my top 10 villains that I would easily, debate about. Voldemort is not on there. Like, that's one of the villains that's like, no. Like, I cannot apologize for you. Like, you're, like, literally bullying, like, a 13-year-old. Like, seek help, you know? Okay, I want to talk about just one more on this list, which is 10, and it should be higher. Paid people avoider. Oh, my God. If I could get paid for avoiding people, first of all, yes, thank you so much, because now I don't have to feel guilty about being the type of person that, like, actively wants to avoid people, because why do I have to feel shame for it? Like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I just like to avoid people. Like, is that so bad? Like, not in the sense that I'm avoidant and I don't want to deal with things. I'm not talking about that. Like, if I had a choice between just being horizontal in my bed on my couch chilling with, a select few, besides that, I would love to avoid everyone. Like, it's just so fun. It's just not fun. Like, it's just like, I don't need to talk to you. I don't need to be around you. You Scorpios get it, right? Maybe you Virgos get it and you Capricorns get it too. Like, it's just so fun being solo dolo and not dealing with people, because usually people just, like, expect shit and they want to talk, and like, that's not always what I want to do. And I think it's nice to avoid people, just like I said, for your own peace of mind. A lot of people don't realize, a lot of other signs don't realize 99% of your problems is because there's too many fucking people in your life. I'm sorry if that's, like, negative. I don't think it is. I personally think the larger your circle is, the more problems you probably have, because everyone's just yapping, everyone's just giving their input. And while it's nice to have a few people's input in life, I think the larger that number is, the more everything just gets messy, and you kind of lose touch with, like, what's actually important, because you're just so involved in everyone else's problems and their dynamics, and you shouldn't have that much time on your hands for that. Take care of yourself. Oh my God, I just saw a meme. I'm posted here. It says, big Gemini energy. If I give you dead replies, it's on purpose. I'm not boring. Yes. Honestly, I feel like as a Gemini moon, listen, why is it, like, our biggest fear for people to think that we're boring? Like, you know what I mean? Like, biggest fear. Like, it's, like, almost shameful and embarrassing. Like, I don't know about you, Gemini placements, but I feel like it's, like, one of our biggest fears for sure. Geminis is, like, people thinking we're boring or that we're not funny. But it's also interesting because that is how we know that we don't fuck with someone or this conversation, when we're silent, and we're just, like, not giving you the energy that we typically would, because we're actively being silent. And it's hard for us to do that. But then while we're doing that, in our head, we're like, fuck, shit, I could have said something funny right there. It's really hard for Gemini placements to be quiet even when we're upset, because we're always in our minds making, like, a joke out of something, and we're turning it into something witty. So the silent treatment, yes, we will enforce it, and that's how we really don't fuck with you, because usually we like to make every conversation interesting. But even when we're giving people the silent treatment, in our head, oh my God, we're yapping away, and we're like, damn, I hope they don't think I'm boring, because I would have had some amazing replies right there. Truly a fear for Gemini placements. People thinking they're boring. And the thing is, no one thinks you're boring, Gemini. No one thinks I don't think it's possible for Geminis to be boring. When you're always stimulated like that, and you do not have any sort of control when it comes to what comes out your mouth, that is a Gemini, right? When you are someone that can truly turn anything into a joke, and you say it all with your chest, you are not boring. It's not possible. Like, Gemini is the most reactionary sign. Like, they love reacting to everything, and they will react to everything. Like, other people may not find shit funny, but Gemini will find anything funny. Truly, anything funny. And when you're that type of person, Gemini, you are not boring. It's not possible. It is not possible. Like, if you are having any sort of, like, let's say you just started stand-up and you want to ask your friends and you're like, who do I ask? You bring a Gemini. You find a Gemini or a Sagittarius, And those are the people you bring to your stand-up show. You know, they're the ones that are going to holler for you, laugh out loud, crazy, get everyone going. You know, they just have that energy. They're not stingy with their energy. And it makes actually so much sense for Sagittarius because they're ruled by Jupiter. Sagittarius is like the least stingy sign, like when it comes to money, when it comes to energy, all of that shit. They're just so giving. And Gemini is the same way when it comes to humor and laughing and good energy. Gemini and Sagittarius will feed you their good energy. They will literally give it to you easily. They are not greedy with that shit. Because they just have so much of it, you know, they have an abundance of good energy. Gemini and Sagittarius, you know, they're like that childlike kind of wonder energy. And when they are giving it to you, you're going to feel on top of the world, you know? So if you are getting into stand up, if anyone out there wants to get into stand up, you're like, what friend do I bring? What people do I ask? Bring all your Sagittariuses and Geminis, because they're going to make it seem like it is a sold out show and everybody's laughing. Okay, this next segment is for my fixed signs because it's just going to hit for you fixed signs. It might hit for everyone else too, but I think it will specifically hit for fixed signs. So if you don't know what fixed signs are, it's Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. So it's going to hit for those 4 signs the most, I feel like. And I was watching this podcast clip. It was on Jay Shetty's podcast, and he had Dr. Ramani on, and I believe she specializes in like narcissistic behavior and just like a lot of different things. But whenever I see her on like my Explore page or FYP or whatever, I always watch her videos because I just feel like she's so well spoken and smart, and I just love watching her. So one of her clips had come up, and she was talking about a mentally healthy person and how essentially a mentally healthy person has a lot of flexibility in their psyche. Like those 2 things go hand in hand, you know, being a flexible person and being mentally healthy. And I thought that was so interesting. And more specifically, like what does, you know, having flexibility in your psyche actually mean? Like what are those things? And some of the things that she listed were adaptability, self-awareness and awareness of others, the ability to self-regulate and self-soothe. And the main one that stood out to me was when there is disappointment, but there is a capacity to cope with it. So to cope with that disappointment. And I love that because it hit for me. I feel like as a fixed dominant girly, it really, really hit for me because when you're a fixed sign, you guys, you get it, you fixed signs. It's so easy. I mean, it's just natural to be like, this is how it needs to be. Like, this is how I've always done it. This is how it needs to be. This is my idea of what it needs to be. So it needs to be exactly that. And this is how I've always thought about this. So my mind's not going to change. Like that's fixed sign energy, right? And I think a lot of fixed signs obviously have a hard time being flexible. Like, you get a little bit scatterbrained or you just feel uncomfortable when things don't go your way, when things don't happen exactly the way that you thought they're meant to happen. That is just something that a lot of fixed signs, you know, deal with. But then when things go our way, we're just so happy. But we give so much of our energy towards things happening a certain way. And we always assume that if it doesn't happen this way, that means there's something wrong. And I hate that. You know what I mean? And it literally tied into this need to be, you know, flexible and how it will actually make you more healthy, your psyche healthy. So I think a lot of fixed signs need to hear what I just said and implement that into your life more. Like being flexible isn't just about completely shifting who you are. It's literally about feeling better about your life. When you're more flexible, I feel like when you're more open-minded to how things happen, you're not always scared, you know, because it does come from, you know, a fear. Let's be honest, fixed signs, not everything, but a lot of your, you know, need for being controlling, your need for things going exactly the way you want comes from fear. You are scared about what can potentially happen if this doesn't happen. And that's thinking too hard into the future. Like that's where a lot of anxiety comes from, right? Is thinking too far into the future and not living in the present. Isn't that like a saying where they're like, you know, depression is when you are caught up in the past and anxiety is when you're scared of the future? I don't know. I don't know about all that. But essentially that's what it is. And when you are being controlling, you're telling yourself if things don't go exactly like this, that means that there's something wrong. And now I'm scared of things not happening like this. So I'm actually going to not really talk about the fear. I'm just going to be super, super type A and rigid about things happening like this because this is the only way that everything's going to be okay. And I think that's just not a healthy place to live in, you know? And as a fixed sign individual, I feel like some of the hardest years of my life were like my, you know, my first, like, I want to say 23 years of my life is because I was just so stubborn and controlling. And I just thought everything needed to be like this. And if it didn't go the way I thought in my head, that means that, you know, now I'm mad and now everything's fucked up because it didn't go the way that I thought it should go in my head. And it just created a lot of stress and problems that didn't need to be there. Like, if I was more flexible, I could have understood that even though it didn't happen this way, it's going to happen in another way. And when you open up your mind, you really realize that there are infinite solutions to your problems, right? And that's what being controlling is, right? You're like trying to make sure that there are no problems. Like, if we just control it like this, that means there won't be any problems, right? But the way that you have told yourself, the solution that you have come up with for your problems, or you just doing it this way, yes, that's one way, but there are an infinite amount of solutions to that same problem. And maybe the universe is showing you a better solution, an easier solution. Like, the journey to having that solution might be way faster and easier if you just opened up your mind to doing things a new way. So I want my fixed sign individuals to understand that, and understand that just because things don't go your way, that doesn't mean that you're doing things wrong, or that life is wrong, or that person is wrong. Like, just open up your mind, be more flexible. It'll just make you feel lighter. Like, that is also a big part of being flexible. You're not carrying around this set of rules about what life is supposed to be like and why you're going to have, you know, your dream life if everything just happens exactly like this. Like, you know, like, be more flexible, be more open to new ways, you know, of things happening for you. And when you do that, you're just more lighter. You're able to flow around more. You're able to take on new energy. Like, we started off this podcast talking about energy. And I feel like when you're stubborn and rigid, nature is literally preventing you from experiencing all the doors that the universe can open for you, you know? Like, I feel like the more free and flexible you are, the easier it is for the universe to actually literally energetically move you to all the places that you are supposed to be. Because when you're closed off and stubborn and you're like, no, since this didn't go my way, I'm just going to stay home. No, just because this didn't happen this way, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to stop. And that makes it harder for the universe to actually get you to the places, or to have people, new people meet you that could help you attain your dream life, you know? So just be more flexible and be more open to things happening differently than what you initially thought, or things happening differently than what people want for you. That's another main thing. I think a lot of us want to obviously be independent, and we want to think that, no, everything I want for myself. No one wants that for me. But I think you would be surprised to learn how much of what you want is something that has been conditioned to your psyche, you know, something that you've taken on from either your guardians, your family, society. A lot of people are living life based on those set of rules, the set of rules that other people around them told them are the right set of rules. And it's kind of scary for some people, maybe if they're at the beginning of their spiritual journey, to think that, what do you mean? Like, someone else's wants, someone else's needs, or I've made my own? No, like, this is what I want. But you'd be surprised at how impressionable your mind is when you're younger, when you're a teenager. Even some people still get, you know, manipulated when they're older too. They take on other people's needs and wants. So be more open to your mind changing, you know, because if you're more flexible, you can potentially see when things aren't working anymore, or when things aren't yours anymore, when these wants, these goals aren't yours. They just don't feel right for you anymore. But if you're stubborn, you're like, no, this is what I've always wanted since forever. And I'm going to make sure that I get it because this is what I wanted since forever. But if you're more open-minded and flexible, you will have these check-ins with yourself where you're like, does this feel good for me anymore? Do I actually want this? And you open up your mind and your spirit and your soul to other things that may be way more soul-fulfilling and, you know, happy and joyous for you in this phase of your life. So Being stubborn can really, really weigh you down, and it can close you off to what the universe actually has in store for you and what is actually going to make you the happiest version of you on this planet and in this universe. And it actually reminds me of one of these quotes that I saw. I have so many quotes. Don't worry, you guys. There will never not be quotes on these podcast episodes. I don't know. It's my Gemini moon, okay? It's my Libra Mercury. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I see quotes, I see memes, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to talk about this. That's genuinely how I feel. So they're never going to stop. I'm going to post it here. It said, ego will have you crying over a closed door that had nothing behind it. Did y'all hear that? Ego will have you crying over a closed door that had nothing behind it. And that couldn't be a truer statement. And again, it reminds me of fixed signs, because a lot of fixed signs, everyone in this life has egos, right? But fixed signs, their big egos come from their stubborn nature of wanting to be right, you know? And someone that thinks they know everything, genuinely, you don't want to be the kind of person that thinks they know everything. You know what I mean? You just don't, because you don't. No one really knows everything. You know, first of all, let's start there. No one knows everything. No one ever. And by you assuming that you know everything, by you letting your ego take over constantly, again, you're closing yourself off. Your ego has told you this is what we wanted, so we need to get this and only this. And you're not even looking at your peripherals or something better coming along, because you've told yourself, no, this is the door that I want to open. This is a door I want to open because this is a door I've seen since forever. There could be other shinier, better looking doors, but you have told yourself, no, I've always wanted this door. This is the door I want. And the universe could literally be screaming at you like, well, look at this door, look at that door. And you're like, no, I want that one. And you open it and there's nothing behind it. And now you've been bamboozled, you know? All because your ego and your stubborn nature told you, I need things to go exactly like this. And now you feel like you've wasted your time. Because the thing that you told yourself you wanted, it ended up being nothing. All because you just didn't open yourself up to other things. Things that the universe was screaming and shouting at you for, you know? Just look at this, look at that. So just be more open-minded. That is the ultimate lesson of this. Not just for fixed signs, for everybody. Just be more open-minded and let the universe surprise you, you know? Ask the universe, show me how good it can get, you know? That's a really, really good affirmation and a good statement to tell the universe every day if you want, honestly, because the universe will show you how good it can get. If you just are more open-minded, it truly will. All right, y'all, that is the end of this episode. How did you guys feel? Did you guys like this episode? I feel like we talked a little bit about everything, a lot of spirituality. I love getting into that spiritual shit with you guys during YAP therapy. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leave me a review on there. That helps me out a lot. And if you're on the YouTube channel watching the video, subscribe, like the video, comment. Even if you're listening, go to the YouTube and comment about any of the topics I talked about, because then it just feels like I was actually hanging out with you guys, okay? So I love you so much. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your weekend, holiday season. Hope you're relaxing, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.